I'm Ash Watson. I'm at the Coolock Library Makerspace, and I want to show you the 3D scanners we have here in the Makerspace. We have two devices which you can use for 3D scanning. One of them is this iPad with this structure scanner on the back, and the other is this HP Sprout workstation, which has a projector, scanners and sensors in the top here. For larger objects like furniture or people, the scanner app and structure sensor are best. Objects are scanned by walking around them, recording the object from multiple angles. If it's not too heavy and it fits in the view of the camera, the scanner on the Sprout can be used. With the Sprout, there are two different ways to scan. With the Camera 3D program, you hold an object under the camera and rotate it by hand, and the software builds the scan. The other method, HP 3D scan, is more complicated to use and takes longer, but you can capture much finer and more accurate detail. You can use the automatic turntable or take multiple scans to capture an object. So the best approach depends on the size of the object, the amount of detail needed, and time and convenience. To use the structure sensor on the iPad, you use the scanner app. You hold the scanner and you move around the object. It will ask you to hold still from time to time while it takes a photo to map onto the 3D model. Bright, soft, or diffused lighting work best. The ceiling lights in the Makerspace are pretty good. So is natural daylight on an overcast day. Glossy, reflective, very dark surfaces or surfaces in shadow can be difficult for the sensor to pick up. The darker and more reflective parts of this plant pot cause problems. The ideal surface would be matte and pale in colour. This chair was captured very well. You can email the result to yourself or someone else for further editing or just to enjoy. The Camera 3D program on the HP Sprout works in a similar way to the structure sensor, except now you hold the object and rotate it. There's a bit of an art to that, and you might have to spend some time going over areas to remove traces of your fingers or pausing or backtracking when it loses track. Again, bright diffused light is best. Camera 3D uses surface details to detect how the object is rotating, so objects with obvious surface markings or different colors are going to be easier to scan. I had a really hard time with the red part of this pepper, even when I put colored dots on it. My shoe, on the other hand, scanned quite nicely. As you can see here, the actual 3D detail that Camera 3D captures is not super fine. You can add more visual detail by using texture mapping. This wraps photos of the object onto the captured 3D surfaces. This is good for digital models or assets, but be aware that these superimposed details won't show up on your 3D prints. To capture finer 3D detail, you'll want to use a different program, HP 3D Scan 5. This method works a little differently. The projector in the Sprout shines bright lines and patterns onto the object. So don't use this method if you are sensitive to flashing lights or patterns, or if you are at risk of epileptic fits. It captures the detail of an object by seeing how the lines change shape or deform. This is called structured light scanning. You'll need to turn the lights off for this method. You can use the automatic turntable to help. Here I'm capturing a background image, so the shape of the turntable and table is automatically removed from the scans. I can use blue tack to fix objects to the table while it's scanning. After the scans are taken from multiple angles, they are cleaned up and aligned. They can then be fused to make a more solid shape. This scan was fused out of 32 individual scans. That's 8 scans per rotation of the turntable, and I changed the position of the piece on the table 4 times. With the aligning, it took me about 45 minutes to complete. This scan of my head took longer, as I had to manually take each individual scan lying on the table. It wasn't very comfortable. The fine detail you can get with structured light scanning comes at the cost of time and effort, so think about what you need. Again, certain surfaces work better than others. It couldn't pick up the red part of my pepper, so we're left with a floating stalk. The ideal material would be matte and white. You can see the white parts of this orchid captured beautifully, but the dark spots didn't. The same goes for my hair. With all three types of scanning, you can save your scans as .obj or .stl files. If you want to 3D print your scans, you might have to clean up your models and patch up holes. You do this so that you can get a closed shape that you'll actually be able to send to print. You can do this to some extent in the Camera 3D and HP 3D scan programs, but there are a few free to download options that might work better for you. The most straightforward to use is called Mesh Mixer. It has the tools you need to modify and clean up your models and lets you export sliced files for printing on a wide range of 3D printers. You could also work with your scans in Blender. Blender is a really powerful and complex open source 3D sculpting, rendering, and animation software. There's a lot to it, and it's a steep learning curve. If you want to try 3D scanning at home and you have some time on your hands, you can actually do it for free with a smartphone and a computer by using a technique called photogrammetry. With this technique, you take pictures from many angles and the photogrammetry software stitches them back together and calculates the 3D shape. Regard 3D is one free and open source option, and Meshroom is another. There are tutorials on YouTube on how to use these somewhat complicated softwares. I hope I've given you some idea of what you can do with the 3D scanning tools we have at the Coolock Library Makerspace. Have a think about what you would like to scan, or what you would like to have a digital model of. In the meantime, I'll be scanning whatever I can get my hands on. See you soon!